Hello and welcome, intermediate students, to another intermediate lesson at learnpianolive.com. This is an intermediate lesson, so the assumption is that you can probably play a couple songs at least well enough to impress a couple friends. You might have some basic understanding of music theory or something, but you really haven't had any formal training. So if that's you, you're in the right place. If you feel, and throughout this lesson like it's way too advanced, you might want to go back and check out yesterday's lesson. It's in the archives, the beginner's version of this lesson. That might answer a lot of your questions, but feel free to ask away, ask any questions. This is about you and me, so you got to ask questions so I know, how to help you best. And there's a couple other things I want to talk to you too about before this countdown clock hits 0. All right, first and most important, ask a lot of questions. The way that you're going to do that is there's a couple different ways. You can jump in the chat room and talk with the other students who are logged in at the same time. I'll be watching the chat room too. You ask your questions there, or if it's a question that's just for me, a question about the lesson, especially if you know it's one that's going to fit best at the question and answer time at the end, then you can just put your name and your question in the box below this video, click submit, and then I will get that. Now, if you're already in the archives, if you're watching this not live, but you're watching this in the archives, then make sure at the end of the lesson you click on the survey button. You don't have to fill out the entire survey. If you want to, I'd love your feedback, but really the best part of that is that you can put your question in there, and then when you click submit, then I will get all of your questions. I'll make sure that you get them answered, whether you're in the archives or you're live. Right next to this video, there should be a PDF button and an MP3 button. Now, you don't really need those till after the lesson because I'm going to be showing you on screen the PDF and showing you how to use it. And I'll play the MP3 during the lesson too, so you know at the end of the lesson how you're going to use that. Some people, though, like to print out the PDF ahead of time, so as I'm making notes on my version, they can make the same notes on their version, but it works either way. All right, this is perhaps the most important part. You need to leave the lesson when you feel like you're sufficiently challenged. So, I'm teaching these lessons, 12 to 15 lessons a month. Normally, in traditional lessons, you're getting like a lesson every other week or so. So this is just way too much for you to take in. So, the goal is for you to get some little nugget of something that you can really practice on, really work on. Once you feel like you have that, then you really don't need anything else from me. Go practice. That's where this stuff is really going to happen. You're not going to get through this lesson and be able to play something really well. You're going to get through this lesson and have the information that you need to practice more effectively. That's really the goal here. So don't feel bad about taking off early. If you feel like halfway through the lesson you got as much as you can take in at that time, then go practice that thing, and then come back whenever you've got that thing down, or you're bored with it, or you just want to check out the next topic. Don't forget also that you've got the archives too. So if you want to see one little thing, just repeat it over and over and over. Just give me, hopefully within 24 hours after the lesson, this thing will be up in the archives, so you can just go back and watch it over and over and over and over and just get that little segment down. All right, so today's lesson is focused on a topic that honestly I personally avoided for a long time. Out of the 8 sectors of music that exist, this one is the one that's on technique. So this has to do with positioning your body in such a way that you can more effectively play through the music. So it doesn't really matter a whole lot when you're no good how, what fingers you use and what position you use to make those notes happen. But as it turns out, as you get better and better and better, you needed to have been preparing yourself to get faster and faster and faster. If you're playing all of your notes with just one finger, as it turns out, that's going to be really slow once you get fast. So today's lesson, stick with me in case you feel like, oh, this is boring stuff. I'd rather not do it that way. It's less comfortable. Trust me, you're going to wish you'd paid attention. All right, let's go. All right, welcome back. We have a little change of plans for today because of your feedback from the beginner's lesson. We're going to do a bunch of hand and stuff, but today let's talk about some fingering because it seems to be more important. By the way, in case you weren't at yesterday's lesson, this is our first week doing the new resolution in our stream. So if that sentence made any sense, I'd love your feedback. If that sentence didn't make any sense, then you know what I'm talking about, then that's fine. Just hopefully everything's working great for you. And if it's not, let me know. So here is our PDF, And we've got some right hand stuff to take, or some right hand stuff to take care of first, which is page 2. So these are all of the fingerings. We briefly touched on this yesterday, and then everybody was asking about how to complete the chart that I had given you. So, and I'm going to turn this just a little bit. There we go. Hey, I can see you now. I can't really see you. That'd be creepy. So these are all the finger numbers for all of the scales, all the major scales. So this right here, it would be the key of C. And for your right hand, again, the finger numbers, and the right hand is down here at the bottom of the page, so you can see which hand we're doing on which page. Page 1 is all left hand stuff. So page 2 is going to be the right hand stuff, and your finger numbers are just thumb is 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5 after that. So we've got a C, that's going to be the one finger, so that's going to be your thumb, and you place that right there. Then the D, we're going to play with our 2 finger, which is this one. 1, 2. The E is going to be with the 3 finger, which is going to be the next one. And then you can see here the F is with the 1 finger, so that thumb is going to have to tuck under to get to that F. And then you're going to play 2, 3, 4 for those next 3 notes. And then that C, your pinky's right there, your pinky's really going to want to play it, but then that will put you in trouble because there's no way to get to that D after that. There's not a good way to either tuck your thumb under or to cross a finger over. So instead of playing that with your pinky, you're going to tuck your thumb under and hit it with your thumb. So that's the move right there. You got your ring finger, you're going to tuck under and land it on that C. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then I told you yesterday that all of the major scales are some combination of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, just like this one is here. So you got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I recommended to you that you start by practicing C and D and E and G and A and B, because those are all the ones that actually follow that pattern perfectly. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Now, if you look at the other ones, you'll notice that they do not follow that pattern. F looks like it's going to 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Now, the other half of that is 1, 2, 3. The reason for that is if you start on an F, then you play 1, 2, 3. That right there is the next note, that B flat, and it's going to be really hard to play 1, 2, 3, and tuck your thumb under and land it on that black note. That's a really difficult thing to do. So we use our 4 finger there, but we finish it off with a 1, 2, 3. So it's still 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, but they're just swapped in that case. So every single scale is going to be some version of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Another example of this would be this thing right here that starts on a 3, which is the end of a group of 1, 2, 3, right there. And then that 1, 2, 3, 4 is the part there in the middle. So it starts with a 3, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And then you 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So it'd keep on going up in that pattern. But it starts on the 3 of a set of 1, 2, 3 instead of starting on a 1. Yes, we'll go with that. It starts on the 3 instead of 1, 2, 3. And then it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're all going to, again, have that same pattern of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're going to start in different places in that pattern. The left hand is going to be exactly the same thing. It's all going to, not all, it's almost all of it is going to be the exact opposite of what you're doing in the right hand. So you take the same right hand finger numbers and then you just swap them out for left hand numbers and go down. So in the right hand, going up in the key of C is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. In the left hand, going down, it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because thumbs are 1, these are 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And yesterday we talked about using the metronome, so I won't go over that again today, but if you are not using metronome already to work on this stuff, that would be the thing to do. Your play along MP3 today is not. It doesn't have any notes in it. It's just me saying that there isn't an MP3, so that something downloads when you click on that button, but it is not an actual track. So you're going to need to take these and decide which ones you're going to practice. Yesterday, I gave you kind of the guidelines for the C and the D and the E and the G and the A and the B. Yes, all of those. So it's those keys right there are going to be the ones that follow the nicest pattern. You have C, D, E, G, A, B. It's all going to feel pretty much the same, except that they'll have some black notes in there. And same thing in the left hand, going down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So then, if that all feels really comfortable for you, you can already do those, then try going in the same direction, which we didn't talk about much at all yesterday. In the left hand, the C major scale, as you can see here, is 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, going up. If you go backwards, like we already said, it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. In the right hand, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So practicing these both together, especially with a metronome, is going to be quite a challenge, and something that if you're in Clapple Academy if you're in Clapple Academy level 3 or 4, then you're already practicing some major scales. The C major scale, I believe, is what you start with, and then D after that. But if you're not in Clapple Academy, you're not getting any of this stuff, practicing these scales, and you will eventually, as we said in the intro, will be left behind because you will need to have already practiced some of this stuff in order to play the faster things down the road. So start with C, the ones I gave you, C, D, E, G, A, B. Practice them right hand only, then practice them left hand only. Probably in the left hand, practice going down first and then coming back up, so that you can then go to both hands together and then split them, going towards the outside and then towards the inside. That will help keep a lot of your finger numbers the same. It's tougher when you have to switch at different points, like right here. The right hand is supposed to tuck under while the left hand keeps going, and then while the right hand is still going, the left hand has to reach over. The left hand switches and the right hand switches. Right, left, left, right. So some weird switching going on when you go in the same direction. It sounds a lot easier than this. That sounds crazy, but it's actually pretty easy to do because the fingers are the same. If you turn off the volume on your instrument, if you've got a keyboard, and you can just do that with your eyes closed, it's going to be way easier. It's going to feel a lot more normal doing that than that thing right there. It's kind of crazy. So that's the order that I would recommend practicing: right hand, left hand, together moving out and in, and then together moving up and down. Each of those, after you think you've got that down, throw in the metronome like we talked about yesterday. And then you're off to the other weird ones that I've also given you here, which eventually you get in Clapple Academy. I believe by level 7 or 8, you are doing all of the major scales for all the keys. And then levels 9 and 10, yes. No, by 11 and 12, you're just speeding them up. But 9 and 10, you've gotten all of the major scales. But you're probably not here. You're probably waiting for the advanced lesson if you are in those levels. So that's the one. Now, we also said today that we were going to go over some hand exercises. So let's talk briefly about that, because I want to make sure that at least we touch on that, even if we don't do the whole lesson like we were planning to originally. The hand exercises are just things where, mostly in the key of C, you're going to take a 5-finger pattern like this. You're just going to put a gap somewhere in there. Like maybe on that first move, you're going to put a gap between this note and this note, and you're going to push those over to there. So now we've got this gap right here. And we would play. And then we've closed the gap on the way down. So we go up with a gap, and we close the gap just by moving that thumb over. Open gap, now it's closed. So when I come down, I'm landing on that one. Now, we're going to use the same exact pattern, so I'm going to gap that first move, and then close it up on the way down. And then, again, make that gap right there. So it's really about just inserting a gap somewhere. And again, with the metronome, using all the rules we talked about yesterday. And then you can put the gaps in other places too. Like you could put a gap instead of between the first and second note, you could put it between the second and the third note. So gap that right there. Bam. Or between the third and the fourth note. Or any other option. Now, if you actually pick up the Hanon book, which would be good, just even if you don't use it, just to have it on your shelf, so when other pianists come over, they go, oh, Hanon, okay, you know what you're doing. There are other things like, and other exercises that use gaps in other weird ways, but it's all pretty much the same thing about taking some pattern and moving it down the scale. Now, adding in sharps and flats to that is a whole other beast that I don't even want to get into today, but that's the basic rule behind the Hanon, and then the right hand, in most cases, just follows what the, left hand usually just follows what the right hand is doing. So if the right hand is playing these notes, again, looking for both of those notes to come out at the exact same time and not having that feel, just like when in your regular major scales. So that is the goal of the Hanon stuff, a little bit of that, and mostly the left and right hand practicing order and the finger numbers that go with each of the hands. So hopefully that's helpful, and that is what you were looking for. Those of you who gave me feedback after yesterday's lesson that I hadn't given you enough, now you definitely have enough. This is enough for me to practice on, so hopefully that's enough for you to practice on. And hopefully if you've got some questions, you're going to send those in, not through the private chat yet. I'm hoping to have that fixed by yesterday. But to let me know what your questions are, we will definitely get to those. And until next time, good luck and have fun.